So in this video we will be discussing about mere exposure effect, right? There was a scientist whose name was Jejong, right? Scientist or psychologist whose name was Jejong, and he performed an experiment, right? He called the number of people, right? And those people were uh, called, and he showed them a group of shapes or sizes, like for example circles, triangles, rectangles, squares, right? And many different shapes. But the thing was, he showed them very quickly, right? That was so quick that those subjects to whom the on whom the experiment was conducted, it was very fast for them to process all those shapes, and it was on very subliminal level, right? It was very fast for them to process those shapes, right? So after the experiment, they were asked which shape they prefer, or which shape grabbed their attention most. So participants said uh, those shapes who were showed them most frequently, right? Suppose circle was showed them most frequently, and they answered circle, right? So this happened. So the conclusion of that experiment was, the participants were showed that shape which was most frequently, most number of times. Those shapes were uh, considered by participants, and participant themselves preferred that shape, right? Another experiment happened, that yes, um what do we call a, I mean, child of a chicken, right? uh, I think I think sorry, hen is the parent word, and yes, so there were chickens on whom the experiment was conducted, right? There were alive chickens, and uh, they put those birds in a place and played different tones, right? Next time when those chickens were called, I mean they were placed, and again another tone was played by the uh, host, those chicken ran towards the tone which was played earlier, right? It basically means they prefer the sound or the music they have heard earlier, right? So this also supports the fact that uh, the thing that we are familiar with, or the thing we have experienced more frequently, we prefer to them, right? So according to Jejong, right, we encounter an experience, that experience creates a stimulus in us. Now after that stimulus, we we develop a affection towards that stimulus, and next time we think of that, or we respond to that in a familiar way, right? We respond to that stimulus in a familiar way, in such a way that it seems like that it is non harmful for us, or it is something like, for example, first time you will see a house, right? You will call it a house, but next time you might call that house as a beautiful house, or an ugly house next time, right? Not for first time. So according to Jejong, every stimulus, or everything that triggers every experience that trigger any kind of a stimulus, we create an affection or a perception towards that stimulus, right? Now, according to Jejong, those couples, for example, there was something called, I read it, but I again forgot that word. It was something like pro propagandistic effect. So, what does propagandistic effect says? Uh, in your college, right? Suppose you see people, but you see them more and more time, so you start either liking them, either disliking them, or either you will have any kind of I mean familiarity towards them, right? This is how people begin to like someone, people begin to inspire from someone, people begin to chase someone in that way, right? So according to this scientist, he says that those couples who marry at their earlier ages after marriage, they don't look similar, right? But what happens with time, if they are really good couple, they try to empathize with each other. They will try to mimic each other's facial expressions, and in that process, after some years, that couple will look alike, almost similar. This what this scientist says, the concept of familiarity, which is mere exposure effect. Also, you have seen that some brands like Pepsi or I'm not remembering this again. Many brands, you will see poster on walls, right? So those brands are very familiar to you. That's why you will prefer to drink a bottle of Pepsi instead of any other Coke, right? And then yes, there was also another experiment which was conducted, right? That experiment was something like this in a college, I think. Yes, in a college, or I think in a research college. A students went to that college every day, but there the according to the experiment, there was a black box every day in a class, right? Nobody knew what had inside that, what did that black box contain, right? Only the professor knew that, but students did not knew. So initially students used to think that what is this mysterious black box in the classroom, this is not something that it should be there, things like that. But as they went by, as they passed day by day, students began to uh, students began to I mean adjust with that black bag, and bag used to be in class every day without harming the students. So students developed an kind of familiarity towards that black box also, and they were also defensive to that black box. Like, they thought it was something for class, just like a clock is hanging on the wall, or something like a duster or chalk exist in classroom. Just like that, this black box should exist in classroom, it is part of our classroom. So this experiment says that if something is there and that thing is not harming us, right, so we will also develop familiarity toward that thing also. We will see that thing more and more frequently, and we will begin to develop familiarity towards it, right? So this was that experiment, and yes, this was all. So uh, yeah, that's for today. We will I will study more topics on psychology, and I will try to upload more videos, because I am also thinking that i will I should find more content, right? So yeah, that's it for today.